Taylor, we've seen the rise of logo 3-point shots in the NBA. What is like the furthest you would shoot in your PBA career?
Definitely from that line too.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 2OT. I'm Carlo Pamintuan. Siyempre, kasama natin si Magumar John and our guest for this afternoon, one of the newest members of the PBA family, a draftee of the Alaska Aces, Taylor Browne. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Taylor, just a quick introduction. Where did you go to school? How did you decide to, finally join the PBA draft?
So I went to University of British Columbia. It's one of the top universities, education-wise and sports-wise in all of Canada. So it's based out in Vancouver. So out of high school, actually, one of my titos, his name is Tito Luis, he had always mentioned the PBA to me growing up. So in high school, because his sons actually went to my high school as well. And when I was 17, he told me, hey, you should get your dual citizenship just in case you ever want to go play in the Philippines. So I actually got it the day before my 18th birthday, which would make me ineligible to get the dual citizenship because my mom had to get hers again as well because she was a Canadian citizen when she had me.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I got it. And then ever since then, my agent now, Miguel Alfato, he was a athletic trainer for UBC, but I've had some connection with him because he does strength conditioning coaching right now. So when I was working out with him, he was telling me like, hey, if you want to play in the PBA one day, I can help you. But obviously this was like a 5-year plan in the making. So yeah, that was kind of how I always knew I wanted to come play here. It was just a matter of when, and it all worked out now, and now I'm here.
You already mentioned it that you got it on the last day you were 17 years old. Just to make sure you got in there before you turned into an adult. Just for the benefit of all of the other younger kids out there, all the Phil foreigners, how tough is it to get that dual citizenship? Then, and how tough is it so that they can make sure they can get it before they're 18?
I'm not too sure of the process of it. I just know that my mom had to get her dual as well, and the only way she could pass it to me was before I turned an adult. I don't know like too much about like how hard it is. I just know that there's a lot of paperwork. You got to have. My mom had to have her proof of birth.
Yeah.
She had to have her birth papers. She had to have her marriage papers. She had to have her citizenship papers as well as my passport. So I mean, if you don't have the papers, you kind of have to make sure you have all those before you kind of start the process. But for any kids and their parents thinking that, hey, I might want my son to go play the PBA one day, you should definitely try to get their citizenship as soon as possible. I mean, as young as possible. Because I think if you get it at 16, you're eligible to play UF one day. So
That's true.
I was 1 year late, unfortunately, but at the end of the day, I still was able to get my dual citizenship, which is a big thing to have, even not being able to play in the PBA. Like just having that in general, I think would help me to travel to the Philippines and stuff like that.
And that
Because we've been
is
saying
really
this,
smart
right, Carlo,
decision.
we've been saying this to anybody who was willing to listen, to all the kids, to all the parents that are based out of the Philippines right now, that if you want that option, you should get that dual citizenship as early as possible. Good thing you made it on time.
Yeah. Shout out to my Tito.
The issue also in that is that your mom, as you said, was already a Canadian citizen when she had you, right? I think it's a
Yeah.
similar issue for some of the players who were not able to get their papers correct. So
Yeah.
if they didn't catch you early, it would have been a longer process, a much more difficult process for you to get into the PBA. So we're happy that you're here. I'm sure that Alaska is very happy to have you on board. But we've read a lot about the process of you landing with Alaska. But again, you said you were 17 years old when you started imagining a career in the PBA. I just wanted to ask, were there any like schools from the Philippines that tried to get in touch with you, tried to recruit you to play actually collegiate basketball here?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I know that there is like an annual like Filipino recruiting kind of tournament that goes on in Vancouver because there's a lot of Filipinos in Vancouver. So I think schools would come down and watch like recruiters. So at the time, I got invited to a scrimmage, and they said that one of the Filipino coaches that I know invited me to come play, and he said that coaches from San Beda were there, or recruiters from San Beda were there. So it was Boss Jude and Jude Roque and Benji Para. So when I came and played, I did pretty well. I was a standout there for sure. And they asked me and talked to me after and said, "Hey, like, do you want to come play in the Philippines? What's your plan?" I think at that time I already committed to playing at UBC. So in my eyes, I was like, okay, you know, this is a cool idea. I don't think I'm gonna make a decision to go there anytime soon, but you know, it's good to keep in the back of my mind. So as after my second year at UBC, they boss Jude messaged me and said, "Hey, do you want to come to our training camp in Vegas?" Because they train at Impact. I think they were doing that back then. So I went, and it was a great experience. Met all the guys like JV Mocon, Robert Bolick, was there? Calvin Octana was there. Ben Adamos, actually. So that's cool that, you know, we got drafted together. But I practiced with them. You know, I liked it. But at the end of the day, I truly felt like I wanted to get a degree from UBC. Like I was telling Carlo earlier, it's my mom's dream for me to get an education and a degree from a very, you know, like an elite school kind of thing. So I really wanted to make sure I finished that because at the end of the day, you know, basketball will always be there. And, you know, my goal was always to go to the PBA eventually, but I wanted to make sure I had some security, especially with fallback options. So
Going back to when the Tower of Power Benji Paras visited you in Vancouver, did you have any idea who the hell that big guy was?
No, I didn't really know too much, but I just knew that when I told my mom and my titas, they were kind of going crazy because I know that he was in the he was in the artista side as well. But no, well, I did some research after, and it was really cool to see all his accomplishments and to see the history behind all of his time in the PBA. And it was really cool. Like once I got home and figured it out, I was like, wow, like I actually met a PBA.
He's one of those guys that you don't even have to be a basketball fan, but when that guy walks in the room, when Benji Paras walks into any room, any building, everybody looks over. Everybody knows who he is, right?
Especially the titas, Magu. Especially the titas.
Especially the titas.
I told my titas, and they're going crazy. Like, you like Benji Paras? Like, I'm like, yeah. I mean, he's like a very tall basketball guy. I don't know, like, how do you guys know him, right? But yeah, so.
And this is just the perfect segue because you said you were almost recruited by San Beda. And Coach Frankie Lim, as we know, used to coach San Beda, and his daughter Miyaka actually sent us food for this episode of 2OT. Wow. And we'd like to thank Miyaka, of course, for sending us her awesome tacos.
Yeah, we got some good food right here.
This dish, best birria tacos in town. Taylor has his. I have mine. Magu,
I have mine too.
Where is yours?
There.
You took a picture of it and ate it.
I didn't know we were supposed to eat it yet. It got to my gate. The doorbell rang. Mr. Speedy guy handed it. It was still warm and it smelled too good, man. And my daughter was like, "What's that, Dad?" I was trying to hide it from my daughters, actually. And we just ate all of it, and it was really, really good. Dish Manila, thank you. Miyaka, thank you.
So Taylor, like, feel free to like take bites of it. I know it's still warm; it's still good right now. Yeah, so in between answering our questions, you can try it out. So San Beda did not pan out. Of course, you stayed in UBC. The only game that Filipino basketball fans got to see you play in was a contest in the Jones Cup, where a Canadian squad went up against Mighty Sports Philippines, of course, coached by our good friend, Coach Charles Chu, and you balled out. You had like 7 3-point shots in that ball game. Was it something that you really prepared for? Was it your personal, introduction
showcase?
Yep, to the market that you wanted to be a part of in the future?
Yeah. So when we got the schedule about the tournament, and we saw that we're playing Philippines, I immediately thought we're playing Gilas. So I was really excited. I was like, oh shoot, like I'm really, because at that point I was already doing research on the PBA and stuff, and my agent now, Miguel Afato, was always telling me about the PBA as I got into UBC. So we went in my 4th year. So when we went in my 4th year, I was really excited because I was like, oh wow, we're really about to play Gilas, Philippines. I didn't know it was my sports at the time, but I just knew that, I mean, whatever team they were bringing, they're gonna have some PBA guys on there. So when we got there, I think we played them the 4th game into the 10 game or 9 game tournament. So before that game, the day before the day of that game, my agent now, he was also the trainer for our team at the time. He was athletic trainer for our UBC team. So he told me like, hey man, if there's one game like you've been preparing for and you got to give your all and go, leave it on the floor, it's this game, because I know that this is gonna help you in your future, and it's the Philippines. And to me, I was like, all right, like let's go, like it's game time, because we were already kind of manifesting in a way that this would help me eventually, and I could make a name for myself. And also because I know that Miguel, my agent, knows Coach Charles. So I don't know if Coach Charles knew I was Filipino at the time, because Miguel was kind of telling him, but I don't think he was obviously busy. So I don't think he realized till after. But yeah. So,
and he's just really suplado. That's the problem.
The snob.
Oh, funny. So yeah, I mean, in that game, I just knew like I had to go and get it, So I came in hot, to be honest. And my coach allowed me to play freely. He wasn't yelling at me as much as he used to in those games, but he said, Taylor, do your thing. This is, he kind of dedicated that game to me, and I really appreciate him for that. Shout out to Coach Kevin Hansen from UBC. So yeah, I just felt like I had something to prove, and I feel like I did that. And it was hard playing against those guys. Like those are full-grown men. We're a college team. We're playing against Ronaldo Balkman, Eugene Phelps, and all those, Phil-Ams, or maybe not Phil-Ams, but all those imports they had. They probably had like 6 imports on like a Phil-Am team, or not a Filipino team. But yeah, I played great. What's funny? I actually had 27, but they gave one of my layups to my other teammate. I mean, nothing matters. I'm just saying, like I just felt really good that game, and yeah, I shot lights out, 7 for 11. It was just smooth. It just felt like everything was coming to me, and there was a reason why I played well that game. And now to foreshadow, like there was a reason why I played well. It's because I was getting to this point now, so people would know who I am. So it was good. It was a great experience. Played against guys like Jason Brickman, Jeremiah Gray. It was cool to see like how I would match up and how I could play against these guys. Because it was like honestly, it was a good game. It was kind of close until the second quarter. So it was fun. In the first quarter, it was fun. Like we were actually going at each other. Like I think it was tied up at that point. So it was nice to kind of get a feel of Philippine basketball in a way, even though there was like 8 non-Filipinos on that team. But yeah, it was fun.
That's the thing. If it's Gilas, it's just magnified 1,000 times over. But any Philippine team, Mighty Sports or whatever team, if they represent the Philippines in any tournament, eyeballs are going to be on you. Everybody, the basketball community is going to be paying attention. And what a way to ball out for you. At least you got that in the books already. But when you decided to come down here, you only worked out for one team and one team only, and that's the Alaska Aces, right?
Yeah.
What's the logic behind this? I know there were other invites for other training because we didn't have a D-League. We didn't even have a PBA rookie combine. Mm-hmm. So not too many people knew who you were coming into this draft.
Mm-hmm. So the process of that was I worked out with Alaska one time, and I started having some problems with my hamstring. And, I sat down after that workout. I was talking to my agent, and, we're kind of just figuring it out. Because I don't know if I had a great showing, but at the same time as like I aggravated it. I didn't want to hurt it anymore because we were kind of hoping that, a team would take a chance on me, not seeing me, and that, hopefully I wouldn't fall too far down in the second round, because that's what we were hoping for. So we kind of weighed both risks. So we're thinking, okay, I could go and work out for these teams playing on an injured leg, and not show my full potential, or I could hope that Alaska saw enough or saw the potential and that they could pick me, or a team would take a chance on me without seeing me. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to hurt it anymore. Because if I, God willing, if it was that case and I got drafted, I didn't want to come into the season kind of hurt. You know what I mean? I want to take as much precaution as I could, because I think about the long term in it. I don't want to aggravate it. I don't want to make it a hamstring tear or pull, even worse. So honestly, like, thanks be to God, because he was really protecting me and he knew he had a plan for me, and it all worked out in the end. And I don't necessarily regret, not working out for teams and stuff like that. I just knew that Alaska, if I had a choice, Alaska had my heart. I really liked Alaska. So, I prayed to God and just told him, that I really, really like Alaska, and I really hope that they weren't discouraged I was hurt, and that they would take a chance and, pick me, and they did.
What was it? What was it about Alaska, that one workout you had? What was it about that environment, that culture? What was it that clicked for you that's made you say, this is where I want to be?
Yeah, so I grew up Catholic, and in the beginning of the practice, we prayed, and that right away kind of like allowed me to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So, and then after we prayed, and then during the practices, a lot of the coaches were very welcoming. The staff was very welcoming. It just felt like a very family-oriented team organization, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in. I value family a lot. I have a huge family back in Vancouver, as well as here, and if anybody that knows me knows that family is everything to me. So once I felt comfortable with how they ran things and how family oriented they were, it kind of sold me on that right away. I'm not saying no other teams like that. It's just my experience with Alaska solidified that. So,
And that
Alaska is
what
one
they're
of the
known for.
classiest
Yeah.
organizations we have. Just before that training with Alaska, where did you go? Did you come straight from Canada, or were you already around Manila at that time? Where were you?
Yeah, so I came from Canada. We came a little early to the Philippines, just because my agent he's originally from here, so he went to Ateneo in high school, then he went to ISM for high school as well, and then he went to UBC for college. But his family is all here, so we came early just to kind of get used to the weather and just like the quarantine as well. So we had to come a little bit earlier before work.
So around what month was this?
This was like February. Yeah.
So the entire time, the entire time when this pandemic struck us, you were still in Canada back then.
Oh yeah. No, I was still in Canada.
I wanted to drive at this next question. How is the scene over there? Like, up to this day, we're not allowed to do 5-on-5 here. We're only allowed to do individual training and everything. How is it in Canada? Are you allowed to go full on contact sports, or is it everything just toned down?
Yeah, so right up until I left, because we dismissed for winter break in December, beginning of December. So right before then, we weren't able to do contact. So we were only doing skill work. I know that from October, I think middle of September till middle of October, we're allowed to have contact within our team. So we were allowed to play 5-on-5, like we were playing games, stuff like that. But we got shut down in the end of October because of the protocols. So we weren't allowed to have contact. They were like going in between phases. So I think like phase 2 and 3. Phase 2, you're not allowed contact, and phase 3, you're allowed contact. So we were kind of going in between those back and forth. So I was training with UBC at the time because I was just kind of getting ready, but I was just doing individual workouts on the side as well, and just kind of just doing skill work. I mean, it sucks we couldn't play as much, but I mean, nobody else could play at the time. So
yeah.
Taylor, we'll let you get a few bites of the Miaka's tacos as we send our greetings to everyone watching right now. Maraming salamat po for watching. A lot of Alaska fans watching right now. Very excited to see Taylor Browne playing. Blue Ang is watching. Romnick Caballero Kaampued. Miaka is watching. Hi, Miaka. Thank you again for the food. AJ Bautista, Henry Aujero, si Mac Pagaling, HP Aguam, Junior Estanero, all watching right now. If you want greetings, just say your names and we will do our best to mention you as we do our
Yeah.
broadcast. Yes, Magu?
We've got more here, Carlo and Brian Christian Bulan. We've got Clifford Sagusay. Hello sa inyo mga lahat, mga sirs. Dairen Padohinog. Kamusta po? Michael Calusa, I think you already mentioned, and the rest of the guys out there. Hopefully, we're giving everybody a better idea of who Taylor is.
We had a comment earlier saying that he hopes that Taylor would help Alaska win their 15th championship. Of course, he'll do his very best to do just that. Cesar Aurelio saying, Lodi Magu, magaling mag-cover ng game. Saka magaling ka daw mag-English, Magu. Congratulations. Rogelio Decenteo Gabukan. Hi, Magu from Caloocan. Kapitbahay mo yata.
Uy, musta, sirs?
And si Marlon Munoz also cheering for Alaska with Bernard Utok, welcoming Taylor Browne to the Alaska family. Taylor, again, you still had 1 year of eligibility in UBC, but then the entire pandemic happened. What pushed you over the edge? What made you decide that this would be the perfect time for you to enter the PBA?
So, like you said, everyone got hit with the pandemic. I was supposed to have a season, and then what happened was in October they announced that we weren't going to have a season anymore. So, in my last year of eligibility, obviously it's heartbreaking to be a senior. Going to my senior year. So we kind of just figuring out options. I was always been in contact with Miguel, also my agent now. He's home based in Vancouver. So we were always talking, and he gave me an idea like, hey, if the PBA is an option, would you take it? And I said, like, yeah, like, I mean, I have really nothing to lose because I was planning to graduate in December. So when we got word that the PBA is not needing the D-League rule and they were postponing their draft until March, it kind of seemed like perfect timing because, like I said, I was getting my degree. I was finishing my bachelor's degree in December. And I was telling Carlo earlier that I would be leaving Vancouver with no strings, like no debt, everything's good. I got my degree, and on to the next chapter kind of thing. So it all worked out. And a big reason was the D-League requirement. I mean, I would have left anyways because if there was still a D-League, but knowing that made me more, like, it was more motivating to go because it's like, okay, this is your shot. There's a reason why this is all happening, So
But the most important thing you've mentioned it like 4 or 5 times already, was the degree. Was that just for yourself or was that a promise to your family as well?
Yeah, so it was for myself and my family. Like I said, I'm very family oriented. It's my mom's dream for me to get an education, to get a degree, especially at UBC. Like, that is one of the most respected schools in the world. It's number 2 school in all of Canada, education wise. So to get that means everything to her, and it means everything to me. And, I always want to make my mom and my family proud. So they always said, you never know what's going to happen. So you never know if you're not going to be able to play ball anymore. So you need an option, a fallback option. And I knew that if I went to university in the Philippines, yeah, that's a good degree, right? But I don't think it would help me as much going back to Vancouver. So she said, you're gonna go play in the PBA one day. You're gonna try, but make sure you handle your business before you go. So it was a great great timing, like I said, because I was finishing my degree earlier, rather than having to finish it later in the year.
And another part of that great timing, I guess, is, of course, there's no D-League requirement this year, but also maybe a lot of the pandemic played a big part of it. A bunch of people retired this year. Bunch of big names, right, Carlo? We've been like, what the hell's going on? So there's a lot of space right now. And you got drafted in the second round by Alaska. You've been talking about how that just seemed like the perfect fit for you. It was the only team you actually worked out for before you got hurt. Where are you in the process right now? Have you been offered a contract? Have you been signed? Have you been practicing with them? Where are you in the process?
Yeah, so we've been practicing this week, and I actually officially signed today. It's up on their social media.
Nice.
Yeah. So I secured a deal with them. I mean, I don't want to go into detail of it, but yes, I just officially signed today, and I'm excited and I'm happy to finally, be officially a part of the Alaska Aces. And I'm
Congratulations.
excited for the journey. Thank you.
So you should have been the one who sent us food, not the other way around.
Hey man, if you invite me again, I'll have a little bit more money.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding, Taylor. More shout outs here.
That's the Filipino. That's the Filipino thing. Blow out.
Yeah.
You'll get used to it. More shout outs to Ivan Angelo Elustre, Marlon Munoz, watching from Batangas City, Paulo Villanueva, and Cesar Orillo with Warren Oliva Gutierrez. Watching from Telebastagan, San Fernando City, Pampanga. Kapitbahay ko lang. Good afternoon, Warren Oliva Gutierrez. People have been asking if you have a moniker, and someone replied, Sam Villa replied that it's lights out. Is this something that people, used to describe you?
Not really. That was something new. I actually got a DM. I don't know if that's him or not, but someone DM'd me and made a picture saying, "Oh, lights out, Taylor Browne," whatever. But I mean, I can say this. I can just say this because it was something that I was used to at UBC. But they used to call me downtown Taylor Browne because it kind of has a little ring to it. So guys on the team have been calling me DT, like downtown kind of thing. So
nice.
I mean, if there's something that I want to choose, it would be downtown Taylor Browne. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I'm just telling you, Taylor, that if there's one guy who could mention that on air and make it stick, it's this guy. It's Magumar John that will mention it the first time you make a 3 if he's covering that game, and it will stick. Yeah. I promise you.
Awesome. Let's do it, man.
Oh, and I need to cover an Alaska game. Where's my producer, my EP, Julius Melo? I need to cover an Alaska game, not just because of Taylor. Did you guys sign Stockton yet?
I'm not too sure. On the process. I just know that
I'm praying for that kid too. I'm praying for that kid too, just so we can say Stockton Tumalon.
What is that?
Stockton Tumalon. Tumalon is jumping. So anytime he jumps, it's Stockton Tumalon.
It's an old Filipino Tito joke that has been alive from the 90s. And
Utah Jazz, right?
Yeah, Magu wants
dude, we've been waiting for a Stockton to play in the PBA forever. This is the one time somebody got drafted. We need that kid signed. Carlo Wilson Centino says, pagat naman, Sir Carlo. He's loving those tacos from Dish Manila right now. We've also got Lud Antonio, Junmar Asifra, Adrian Filomeno, Prince Villarojas. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. And we are going along here on 2OT Live with Taylor Browne. Yun, Carlo. Munguya pa.
Taylor, with the coaching staff, you said you met some of the coaching staff from Alaska. Can you tell us about who you met and your first impressions with them?
So I've met everyone at this point, but so we'll start off with Coach Jeff. Coach Jeff, great guy. I see a lot of kind of similarities between us. I think, he was the same position as me. I'm the same position as him. I'm pretty sure he's known as a shooter. Overall, just a great guy. And I feel like him being a Phil American would help me, and he can guide me and teach me a lot of things about this league and about the game and, how to operate within this league. So yeah, it's great to have a coach like Coach Jeff. And
if you want that comparison to grow even further, you got to make free throws in crunch time.
All right.
Diba? Yung mga pamatay ni Coach Jeff. Once you make free throws with like 5 seconds or less left in the game, then
Good to know. So next, Coach Tony. Tony De La Cruz. So yeah, he's a good guy too. Phil American as well. So it's nice having 2 Phil American coaches that I can, connect to and relate to on a different level, being from, both of us are from North America. So and also Coach Danny I, everybody knows Coach Danny I. So at the time I didn't really know too much, but I knew that my agent was telling me about him. And now I've heard and seen it all, and great guy, very happy guy, very, funny and happy guy. So I really like.
Taga saan ba si Danny ay? Pangasinan, di ba?
Pangasinan, yep.
Yeah, Pangasinan. Yeah.
Phil Galatok.
So yeah, the coach has been great, and the trainers they have, um, Coach Mas and Coach Mike. They're the athletic trainers. They're really they've been dedicated to that program for so
Yep.
long.
Master Guy.
Yeah, and all the staff they have, it's been very welcoming and great, and they've welcomed me with open arms and very supportive, especially the players. So
How about your now teammates? Sasabihin ko ba sana future teammates, but you're already signed. I know you're not allowed to practice with a full squad yet. Who have you been working out with? Is it just you rookies, or how are you guys divided?
So right now I'm working out with it's me, Mav, Robbie, Yusuf, and I'm forgetting one more. Ray. So I've been working out with them. It's been great. We played some one-on-one today. We went after it. But we've been doing some 5-on-0 stuff and just been gelling, trying to find some chemistry between us. And it's been looking good. I'm really excited for what this team can do. I've met almost all of them though. But my group right now is that group. And we've been having fun. Just been getting better, doing everything we can to push each other and to get better every day.
Have you been watching tape on them, previous games, old games on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere?
Yeah, so I actually have been watching them since they were in the bubble. I used to watch every highlight after the games. I used to study and watch how they run stuff. I mean, not just Alaska. I used to watch the whole bubble. I remember when I figured out that I was going to go, they were still in the bubble. So I would literally just wait until their game was posted on the One Sports YouTube. And I would watch every single game. Like, I swear I probably watched every single game. So I really wanted to study and learn how they do everything and really just manifest and envision everything.
Yeah.
And, one day I'll be here.
Really yeah.
Having watched that entire bubble, would you agree with a lot of pundits saying, if only Alaska didn't run into TNT in the knockout stage, Alaska would have gone further? Not just because you're with Alaska now. It was just a circumstance there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, Alaska's really good. I think they're growing and they're trying to gel together. Because I know that they had a kind of like a new team even coming into the bubble, and I think they only had like a week or two of practice, and then they had to go to the bubble. So, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of great things that this team can do, and I know that no matter the situation we'll be in the future, that we're gonna, do well, and we're gonna work hard and give it our all. So. I mean, it's unfortunate the way it went down for them, but at the end of the day, that's just a growing moment for them, and it's a part of their journey. And I'm glad that I'm now a part of their future story, and I feel like, we have a chance to make some noise this year.
Just going back quickly to your coaches, we just wanted to, tell you how we know them. Coach Jeffrey Carriazo is one of the hardest workers we've ever seen on both ends of the floor. I mean, it's offense and defense all the time for Coach Jeff. Coach Tony De La Cruz, I think he has to be one of the best mid-range shooters that we've ever seen, Magu.
Ever.
In the entire game. And right now, Coach Danny Ildefonso is the second best conditioned assistant coach in the entire league. Number one, of course, is Coach Richard Del Rosario.
We can't forget Coach Franco as well.
Yeah, Coach Franco.
Yeah,
an important member of the Alaska coaching
Franco
staff.
As well. Yeah.
Looking forward, Taylor, you said that you've watched a lot of tape about the PBA bubble. Are you excited to go up against any specific players from the other teams?
I mean, not necessarily. I think I'm just excited to play in the PBA in general and whoever I'm playing against, But, definitely some guys I've looked up to were, Matthew Wright, Wills. Just like a bunch of those other guys on like Talking Text, those guys like Jason Castro, I've been watching them. I just kind of been watching kind of every single player, I would say, on every team, and I'm just really excited to finally be on the court with them, and be able to see them in person and to share the same court as them and to play against them. That's just something I've been looking forward to.
You mentioned Matthew Wright first. Is it because he's also Phil Canadian? Is that what made you pay attention, or is it just really his game? Or were you following him from before?
Yeah, so my agent Miguel told me about him about 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. And he was like, hey man, this guy is from Canada. He's doing well in this league. He's a shooter as well. He's like, man, I could see you I could see you being like, following his footsteps in a way. So to get the comparison in the draft was awesome. I know that he's an amazing player, and that obviously there's so much work to be done to ever get to his level. But I know that he's someone I look up to in this league. And yes, it's awesome that he's a Canadian, but at the same time, it's more so of his game. I really like his game. I'm a shooter, so I really like his the way he shoots. But I think, like I said, it's great that he's from Canada too. So it's kind of like we have something in common as well.
Let's take some questions now from our live stream. Now that you're signed with Alaska, Kerwin Glenn Bernal wants to know, what jersey number are you going to wear?
We're going to wear number 5. So I was able to wear that through my high school and my university, and now I'm able to continue that number for with Alaska.
Sino ba 5 dati? Brandon Cablay, no? Tama ba?
I'm not sure.
I think, sure about that. Previous guys who wore it for Alaska.
Yeah.
Somebody, ano sinasabi ni Dairen Paduhinog? Taylor Browne, shooting po, papawis lang. I think he's trying to go one-on-one with you. He's challenging you to a shootout.
Oh, he wants a shootout? All right, we can do that.
Or close. Taylor, we've seen the rise of logo 3-point shots in the NBA. What is like the furthest you would shoot in your PBA career?
Definitely from that line too. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but it would be cool to try it if I can, practice it and work on it and get the confidence to and the poise to actually pull that off in a game. Because guys like Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, like that takes some balls to do that, like to pull that shot, because that's damn near a half court shot. Like, so, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but I would love to do that eventually if I have the confidence to hit them. But I know that if I miss it, I'm going back on the bench right away.
I would like to apologize to Coach Jeffrey Carriazo for even mentioning it. If Taylor does it in the game, it's probably my fault.
I won't do it, Coach. Don't worry.
So Taylor, a lot of fans have been, commenting in our thread right now, saying that Tenorio wore number 5, Rob Duwat, Brandon Cablay all wore number 5 for Alaska, and we're seeing a June Reyes here in Alaska.
Oh yeah,
from before, also wearing that jersey number. So it has good history with the Alaska franchise. But what can you say about the Alaska fans and their reception towards you? I mean, have people reached out?
Oh, have they? Oh, it was amazing. So as soon as I got drafted, they posted that photo, and I think since last Sunday, I've gone like almost like 600 to 800 followers on Instagram. I've gotten about 200 DMs, and I've responded to every single one. They've just been so welcoming. I know that the Alaska fan base is very strong. There's a lot of them, and they have a lot of pride when it comes to Alaska. So I really like that, and I really love that there's all those fans that are supporting, because I love replying to those messages, and I love the fans. Like, I love that that there's a strong fan base, because without their support, like at the most, like we wouldn't be the Alaska that they are today. So I'm really happy that there's a great fan base. They've been reaching out to me every day, calling me idol, all this stuff. Like, it's so cool. Like, it's something I've never really experienced before. So it's nice being able to experience that here in the Philippines.
You talked earlier about how it just felt like family when you practiced with the Aces, although it's not the complete team yet. That's the same way with the fan base of Alaska. If we through the years, as we've encountered the Alaska fans, it's also family in theirs. And good thing they're welcoming you with their open arms.
Yeah, I love that. Like I said, I'm very family oriented, so I feel like I fit right in with it. And I'll be glad to see all the messages and the support, because I will show it back. I'll show the love back to them.
I'm sure that people aren't approaching you for pictures right now because of social distancing protocols, and you're wearing a mask and a face shield. But after this pandemic is done, man, you will have to get used to that, walking in malls and people just approaching you for photos.
Oh, I've heard. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'll be down to do it, and always show love. Like I said, I always show love back to the fans, because they deserve all that, because of all the support. They're making pictures and editing, taking the time to Photoshop me into pictures and stuff like that. Like, that's amazing to me. And I don't want to be that guy that just ignores all them and doesn't acknowledge them at all, because that's hard work they put into that stuff. So I love everything that they do.
Magu, final comment?
Can't wait to cover you when you actually play in the PBA. Hopefully mid-April, but whenever it is, we get to start. Hopefully everybody's good and ready. Everybody stays safe so we can get this going.
Yeah.
Yep, from the PBA, they said that they will talk about it right after the Holy Week to map out the plans, because right now Manila is in lockdown type of situation. So hopefully we will get to see Taylor Browne and the rest of the rookies make their debuts in the near future, because you know what? We're very excited to see you on the floor. Can't wait to see what you bring to the table for the Alaska Aces. Taylor Browne, thank you again for joining me and Magu Marjon here on 2OT.
Thank you so much for having me.
And finish those tacos. Again, we thank you, Miyaka Lim, for Dish Tacos. You appreciate the love. Magu already finished his. Taylor will be finishing his. I've already eaten mine. So again, maraming salamat, Miyaka, for sending us itong sobrang sarap na taco. So if you want to order, just message Miyaka or follow Dish MNL on Instagram. And that'll be it for this episode of 2OT. On behalf of Magu Marjon, ako po si Carlo Pamintuan. We thank Taylor Browne for hanging out with us, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Taylor.